Hi, and welcome to Variant Edition, your first weekly video podcast about comics and comic culture. I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick, and today we got a really big show for you.
And it's also really cold, so we're just going to go right inside and start it now.
Hi, I'm Nick, and this is the news for the week of Wednesday, December 13th, 2006. If you heard my review of Walking Dead number 32, I was really looking forward to issue number 33, and you'll see what I think about it in a few minutes. But apparently, I was not alone. Issue 33 sold out at Diamond after less than 24 hours. Image is sending it back to print with a new cover. And speaking of new covers, Ultimate Spider-Man number 104, the conclusion to the monumental Clone Saga, will be getting another variant cover, dubbed the White Variant. The variant will be a 1 in 100 variant, meaning that it will be a hard-to-find one, as there will only be one shipped for every 100 ordered. Good luck, completists. And in news that matters, our friends at Archaea Studio Press have announced that The Lone and Level Sands has been nominated for Great Graphic Novels for Teens, a new list from YALSA, the young adult arm of the American Library Association. The list will serve as a guide of recommended titles librarians can use to further develop their collections with books that appeal to the reading taste of teens. If you're not familiar with The Lone and Level Sands, check out our interview with A. David Lewis in episode 17, or keep an eye open for a new interview with the entire creative team in a few weeks. Another legend has been lost. Martin Nodell, the creator of the Green Lantern, passed away this past weekend. He was 91. Nodell came up with the original idea for Green Lantern and had Bill Finger help flesh out the character. Nodell left comics in the 1950s and worked in advertising, where he is credited with creating many memorable characters, including the Pillsbury Doughboy. The official trailer for 300, the adaptation of Frank Miller's graphic novel from Dark Horse Comics, has been released. If you thought the teaser trailer was cool, wait till you check out this trailer. You can see the new trailer in all of its glory at Yahoo, then wait patiently for March to come. And MTV Overdrive has the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer. It looks to be skewing young, but at least it doesn't have Vanilla Ice in it. It may seem like just an excuse to put up that picture, but it's not. Devil's Due Publishing announced last week that they were teaming up with Hollywood partners to reinvent Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, in a new 99-cent special set to debut in March. Created in 1937 by Will Eisner and Jerry Iger, Sheena was the first comic book heroine to be featured in her own solo book. The Golden Age beauty will be reimagined for a more modern world by filmmakers Paul Arito and Stephen E. D'Souza. Let's just hope that modernization doesn't demean the character and make her just another bad girl. And in some strange news, Marvel this week released Spider-Man Reign by Carl Andrews, featuring retired Peter Parker who must once again take on the role of Spider-Man. But the story here isn't the story, it's the art. And one panel in particular. After the issue shipped, retailers started noticing, well, Peter Parker's in his bed, he's old, and he's naked. Some of his bits are showing. Marvel has stated that the image, quote, may be misinterpreted by some readers as inappropriate. Because of the potential inconvenience this ambiguity may create for retailers, Spider-Man Reign number 1 will be fully returnable, unquote. So that's it for the news this week. A few weeks ago, Variant Edition spent the weekend at the Big Apple Con and talked to quite a few cool creators. Here's the first of many interviews to come.
All right, Kevin with Variant Edition again. This time I'm with the legendary Bernie Wrightson. Got his start in comics, but I mean, I think he's worked in just about every media possible, with horror and, I mean, in the movies. And, I mean, tell us a little bit, give us a brief walkthrough of your history. I know that's an easy question.
I don't think you have the time. I don't know if I can do it briefly. No, I just I've done mostly comics in my career, but you know, like you said, yeah, I've done book illustration and magazines, some conceptual designs for movies. Ghostbusters, Galaxy Quest, Spider-Man, and those were just the ones that got made. Yeah, I've done a lot of movie work for movies that didn't get made for one reason or another. And yeah, all of that. Yeah, I'm all over the map. You know, I'm a working artist, so you know, I follow the jobs.
Speaking of which, what is it that drives you to create? You know, do you have one set of inspiration? I know some people will say it's the challenge or it's the pay, or you know, you say you're a working artist, so there's got to be a little of both in there.
It's all of that. It's all of that, and it's also compulsive behavior. You know, and you know, I think if I wasn't actually making a living at this, you know, I'd be in an institution somewhere drawing on the walls. Yeah.
And of course, that'd probably prolong your being at that institution based on some of the things that you tend to draw.
They'd never let me out.
Considering that most of your subject, you know, matter is, you know, horror or, you know, the very macabre, does that ever, you know, bother you that are you exercising your demons, I guess I'm trying to say? Or is it just something you find fascinating?
I'm just drawing what I like to draw. You know, I grew up in the 50s when they released the Universal monster movies to TV. So, you know, I had a steady diet of that stuff, and I loved it. We had the monster magazines. We had EC Comics, later on Creepy and Eerie. And, you know, just always been fascinated with horror stories and monsters. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no. And speaking of which, you mentioned, you know, EC Comics and that kind of thing. Where do your inspiration come from? Or does it vary?
Well, you know, no, a lot of that early inspiration comes from exactly that, the EC Comics and the old movies. Artistic inspiration, you know, the number one guy was Frazetta. And you know, after him, you know, all the guys who worked on, you know, in the EC Comics and literally every artist's work that I've ever seen has been an influence.
So there's always something to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so do you ever feel that you'll ever attain that perfection?
Oh, I hope not. No, because, you know, then there'd be nothing to do, you know? I mean, you know, it's all every drawing I do is practice for the next drawing. So
I know this is kind of a broad question, but what does it mean to be a creator? Because, I mean, you're literally making something out of nothing.
I don't really know. You know, because it fascinates me also. Just the idea that you know, I have a blank sheet of white paper in front of me, and I have no idea where to start, you know, but somehow, you know, you find a starting point and just begin to make something on that paper and filling that space. And I don't understand the process to the point of being able to explain it. You know, for me, to this day, it's still a magic trick.
And if it works, why question?
Exactly.
So you have worked at a broad range of media. Why don't you talk about one of your creations or something that you've created that has been, you know, personal, that, you know, was something that you made?
You know, I think the thing, if I'm getting your question, that the thing I've done that I'm the proudest of, mm-hmm. and that I hope, you know, 100 years from now I'll be remembered for,
right,
are the Frankenstein illustrations. You know, I think it's undoubtedly my best work, and you know, it took a long time. It was all very much from the heart. It was a labor of love, and I think it's the best work I've ever done. And if I never do anything as good as that in the rest of my life, that's fine. I'm happy because I've got this.
You come back to comics every once in a while. Seeing as though you have such a broad, you know, kind of background in your work, how is it to come back to comics, you know, after you've done these other projects, or is it just another form of creating art?
Well, you know, visual art is is communication. And you know what? What's better in communicating visually than a comic book and communicating in words and pictures? I love comic books, and I love telling stories in comics, and you know, I just love the medium and you know how it works.
Because it's not like any other medium.
It's not like a movie. It's not like a book. You know, it is very. It's a medium very much unto itself, and you know, it's a very American medium. And I'm actually back doing comics right now as we're speaking. November 19th, 2006. I'm working on a project with Steve Niles.
Great.
For Dark Horse Comics. It's called City of Others. And it's coming out in February 2007. And it revisits everything we've talked about. Mm-hmm. All the monsters, vampires, werewolves, zombies, giant insects, ghost goblins.
Fantastic. Is it going to be a series or a graphic novel?
It'll be a series. It'll be an ongoing series. We have no plans to end it.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, we're just going to keep running with it.
Oh, wow. Great. Great. Well, Bernie, thank you very much for taking some time to speak with us. And thank you very much.
So this week's Spider-Man Reign, Book 1. What's to say about this book? It's an interesting tale. It's the future of Marvel Comics, I guess would be the way to phrase it. What we're looking at here is old Peter Parker, and even way older J. Jonah Jameson, which I don't think is possible because he should be dead, because that makes him like, what? 175, give or take? Anyway, this is Peter Parker in the future. He doesn't work for the Daily Bugle. He has lost Mary Jane. Lonely old man living in an apartment. And of all the people to come and kind of get him out of this, let me just stop right there and backtrack a little bit. The world in the future is very anti-superhero. They don't want anybody wearing masks inside of the city. You know, there's no superheroes allowed. There is the children are being watched over, and there's no graffiti anymore. It's like a zero tolerance policy for everything. It's not just police anymore. It's like these mobile task force guys with ski masks and giant war suit type things going on, heavy body armor, big guns. It's not looking too happy in the future. Anyway, we come in. Peter Parker was just fired from his last and most latest job, which would be that of a flower sales guy at a florist. I don't know what we would call them. Maybe he was a florist, kind of, but I don't think he actually did the flowers. But I digress. What you're looking at here is the rebirth of Spider-Man as 80-year-old, wrinkly old guy. And it's interesting. He's got a black mask instead of the standard Spider-Man mask. I don't know what they're going to go with this. And of all the people to give it to him, J. Jonah Jameson knocks on his door and kind of delivers him a camera. But it's not really just a camera because it's actually got the mask either around it or in it. They didn't really show that well. I'm guessing it was in where the film goes. Anyway, J. Jonah Jameson starts a big fight outside. Two of these big mobile guys are like beating the crap out of him. And then Spider-Man in boxers comes flying down and just beats up these guys and then punches J. Jonah Jameson in the face and says goodnight. Interesting story. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a brand new take on Spider-Man, and I'm happy with where it's going.
So, zombies versus robots. An interesting idea, and we finally get to see it come to life in the comics Zombies vs. Robots, with very, very, very nice artwork by Ashley Wood. His covers, I'm still more of a fan, but the interior art is a very nice and very unique style of doing something with robots and zombies in it. They didn't go so clean-cut and mechanical. They went more the dirty, gritty way, and I like the fact that it's dirty, zombie-filled Earth, but still, you know, the clean-formed robots are in there, but they're still roughed up. It's a really good balance. One of the things I really like about his art for the interior, very sketchy, very rough. Kevin and I were talking about artist sketches a couple days ago, and the fact, when you see artist sketches from the initial sketch to the finished idea, sometimes some of the emotion and enthusiasm is lost from the concept sketch to the finished product. Ashley Wood keeps all that emotion, all that fury of a jagged line or like some rough, you know, stitches in something or anything that's not, fine-tuned and, like, smoothed out. It's very sketchy, very rough, but you can know what's going on. It's not crystal clear, but it paints a very nice picture. Another thing I love about it, he doesn't use, what seems to be not much computers, and he used zip tones. Instead of, putting in dots for shadow and background colors with the computer, it's those little sheets you cut out. Very nice and somewhat of an old-school technique, which I liked. So anyway, zombies versus robots, how's that come around? Well, apparently, robots like to time travel, and robots don't really keep a track of what comes with them when they go from time to time, and apparently, one of those time-traveling mechanical bastards had something in them that made people into zombies, and the world kind of went downhill with robots on the sidelines just kind of waiting for this to go. They're so mechanical about what happened. Like, they don't even go into precautions or anything that people did to try to stop the zombies. It's just like, yeah, zombies came out. What happened after then doesn't really matter. What happens is what we have now. And right now the robots are left with one surviving human baby that somehow surpassed all the zombie infection and becoming a zombie's lunch, dinner, or breakfast. And they have this baby, and they're trying to figure out how to take this baby and to clone it to save the rest of the world. More people, less zombies. That's what they're trying to do. As you read out in the comic, things kind of go awry in a very unique and interesting way, which was, as Kevin said to me the other day, the way they showed the scene where things change for the worse for these poor robots and for the human race. It's like if you were in a movie, it'd be one of those scenes where everybody just stops and everything is slow motion, everyone's screaming, "No!" It's nice, because the artwork was great, the story is not ingenious, but very creative and innovative with how they do robots, and they have their own rankings of, like, doctor bots, science bots, war bots, guard bots, slaves, workers. It's very, very nice. So if you're into something very different, very out of the ordinary, go with Zombies vs. Robots.
Okay, guys, it's me again. You remember last week, Mike and I did a toy and statue review, and we looked at the Soda Toys Cthulhu PVC figures. Awesome figures, so I figured it was a great opportunity for me to take some time to talk about some, awesome Lovecraft reading. Now, this is an awesome book that you're going to want to pick up if you really want to get into reading some Lovecraft stories. Okay, so this is John Coulthard's Haunter of the Dark. There's an introduction by Alan Moore. He does an awesome introduction, kind of in the style of Lovecraft, and there are 3 Lovecraft stories. Of course, you've got Haunter of the Dark, you've got Call of Cthulhu, and you've got the Dunwich Horror. 3 great stories, awesome, and the artwork is just beautiful. This has got to be the nicest black and white pen and ink work I think I've ever seen. You've got some great kind of fractally looking things, makes it look like, some kind of something out of the Necronomicon. It's just fabulous. You got to check this artwork out. And there's also a nice final wrap up with, who the gods are, who is Cthulhu, who is Dagon, how everybody's related, a whole family tree, and a couple of ending pages of alternate artwork. Fabulous, awesome. You got to pick this up, especially if you want to check out some Cthulhu stuff and some Lovecraft stuff for that matter. Check it out.
Alright guys, my first review for this week was Batman Confidential Issue 1. It's a new ongoing series about, I think, in-continuity stories of Batman's first years. So if you saw Batman Begins, kind of had like that whole first year, year one, post-year one feel to it. This is exactly what it is. Like, you got some similar characters like Lucius Fox, who works at Wayne Industries. So it's really cool to see that, the transition between the film and the comic book. So in the first story, or the opening arc for the story, you see Batman trying to rescue this woman who's been brutally beat to death, and for reasons we don't know yet. But obviously, the person was hired by, a higher power for her to be taken out for what reasons we don't know yet. So Batman, on his way to capture the guy, runs him out to a rooftop, and as the guy's about to spill the beans about who hired him, the man gets totally like laser photoned out of like nowhere and like blown to like nothing. Like literally, like he turns into poof smoke, and that's it. So Batman turns around, can't find the guy. You fast forward to like the next day, where Batman's at like a business meeting about a defense contract, and it's really cool because you see it kind of alludes to the first interaction between him and Lex Luthor meeting for the first time as like businessmen, and so they're proposing like this whole deal with this new kind of like armor, built for wars and such not to protect lives and yada yada yada. And then towards the end of the issue, it's him and Lex talking about how they're the same kind of man when it comes to ideals. Really interesting contrast between them two, seeing how it is, one's evil and one's good. So the issue ends up with one of Bruce's prototype robots flying out of the sky and starts destroying stuff. and it kind of like ends there. The artwork is really good. Willis Procaccio, really cool stuff. Last time I saw any of the stuff of his was Wetworks and Iron Man Reboot back in The Heroes Reborn. So I'm a big fan of his artwork. Really cool penciling, really Jim Lee-ish, but in his own way. Really cool artwork. The writing's interesting. I'd like to see where this is going to go, so it's a pretty good read, and I highly recommend it.
I took a look at New Universal #1 by Warren Ellis and Salvador Larroca, and this was getting a lot of buzz, prior to its release, and I've been reading, a lot of good reviews of it, and I'm kind of hesitant to give it such a good review as everyone else is giving it. I think everyone else is just, it's Warren Ellis, and it's great, and it's gonna be great, and it probably is gonna be great. The problem is maybe it's kind of suffering from the first issue. It's a very typical first issue. It's almost formulaic at this point. That's what I kind of liked about All-Star Superman. It was the first, All-Star Superman #1. It was the first issue. They told what you needed to know in one page. Granted, you need character development. You got to see where these people are coming from. But I don't know. I'm expecting issue #2 to be incredible. But this first issue, I don't know, I'm just kind of hesitant. And the art, while it's Salvador Larroca, I've always been a big fan of his art, but he changed his style quite consciously for this, and I'm not as big of a fan of his new style. I'm glad that he's trying something different, and it is something different, and it kind of works, but I don't know, it doesn't have that, it quality that his previous work does. So the basics of the story is, it's the new universe. Marvel did this back in the 80s, and of course it failed. So Warren Ellis has the keys to the universe, basically, and he can start from scratch. And this first issue, again, like I said, so it brings all the main characters together. And the White Event happens, which is, we'll find out in the second issue exactly what it is. But the White Event happens, everybody gets their powers, bang, stuff starts happening, end of the issue. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just kind of hesitant. That or the fact that James Gandolfini, Bruce Willis, Johnny Depp, a couple other guys from The Sopranos, when you're drawing people to look so close to real life people, it kind of takes you out of the story a little bit. In the movies, it doesn't because you're expecting that. In comics, I don't know. It kind of dragged me right out of the story. So I'm going to give issue 2 a shot because, I am a Warren Ellis fan and it is a first issue, but I have some reservations.
Ultimate Vision #1. Let's say the first step forward in this comic was actually make it its own comic and not tag it on the back of other Ultimate books. Hooray. The first Ultimate Vision was just kind of like an explanation of who Ultimate Vision was, where she came from, where it came from, and, why she does what she does. This is like the first Ultimate Vision story that I am aware of. And she's leaving Earth, she's done with Galactus, she's like, I'm gonna go and tell the worlds out there about how to stop him and that it's not the end inevitably because, there's a way to fight this thing and win now. Only while she's going, she hears a signal coming from the space station, so she rushes over there. Unbeknownst to her, it's an AIM station. No one tells you this in the comic, you don't find out till the very end. Other than the fact that, the guy's kind of odd, you don't know he's part of AIM. Anyway, so they've got a piece of Galactus. They've got a unit, one of the small little pieces of the big Galactus thing from the Ultimate series, if you read it. And it's dormant. It's not doing anything. They've cut off its power, and it doesn't have any command because the Galactus, sentient being thing isn't there to command it. So what we're seeing is the Vision is going to have to link up with the Galactus unit so that this guy on the space station can then go back and talk to it and tell it what to do and gain control over it. He says he wants to do it so that they can employ a self-destruct code and just end the whole Galactus thing, which is a lie right off the bat. You know it. It's not sound. The guy doesn't look sincere about it. So he's just going to use it as an ultimate weapon. And that's basically what his goal is. I'm looking forward to this series. I can't wait to see where they're going to go with it. And I'd say pick it up if you're a fan of the Ultimate line.
So, Walking Dead issue 33. Apparently I wasn't the only one who was drooling at the mouth waiting for this to come out because, as we said in the news, it sold out. They got to do a reprint, which is awesome for Walking Dead fans. So, 33, we all know what it led up to, well, what it is now from last issue. It's Michonne getting her revenge on the governor. And that's pretty much all that the issue is. It's not as plot-driven or well, I wouldn't say character-driven, but it's not as plot-driven as previous issues. It's pretty much just Michonne getting back at the governor for everything that he's done to her in that little garage of his. It was, in my opinion, I was kind of let down with it. I thought that Kirkman would have drawn it out a bit more to show, kind of like that whole, just that built-up rage, but that she doesn't want his torment and his pain and his suffering to be so short-lived in one issue. But they did that. Granted, what she does to him is very brutal, very graphic, very gory, very well drawn, but like I said, it's just short. Something like this, I felt, should have spanned on. Like, she should have dragged him around by a chain or something like that and, just messed with him on a daily basis. That's just me. I don't think the one, torment him for a good 30 minutes and then he's dead, over and done with, was enough to please Michonne, but apparently it was. So if you weren't looking for anything that was very empowering and drawn out, then you really shouldn't be disappointed. This is just, it's straight, brutal vengeance, and that's pretty much all that it was.
So New X-Men, number 33. It's a story that I've been reading a lot. It's a story that hopefully I've gotten you guys into. If not, I obviously haven't been doing my job well. You should pick up right now, if you can, and get into this book. It's a great series, and they just finished off the old arc, which was about Nimrod and about killing all the new X-Men team and everything else. But this is going to be a good leap point for you guys to jump in. And if you're a fan of X-23, this arc seems to be very X-23 oriented. What we got is you've got X-23 and Mercury are now becoming friends. They're going out for a cup of coffee, not because Mercury wants a cup of coffee or X-23 is hungry, but well, what else do you do but go get a cup of coffee and talk things over? Anyway, what we see is they're having a discussion, trying to pry into what's going on, and then the coffee shop diner thing just kind of blows up, and you find out that there's a whole team in there now that's actually hunting down X-23, and they've actually got plans, and they know how to take down everybody who she's usually with. It just happens to be her and Mercury. This is an open door opportunity for them. Let's go get them now while there's only two of them. X-23 says, Mercury, you gotta run, you gotta get out of here, and she's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. They're both down for the count. And of course, Kimura shows up. The Japanese operative back from the X-23 days, height of the guard from X-23, if you remember back that far. And, it's just all going to be, it's going to be hopefully sped up here. It's going to speed up a lot. And you're going to see a lot of X-23 taking down armed guys sort of action going on. I can't wait to see where they're going with it, and I can't wait for the rest of the team to get involved in it.
All right, guys. Next review for this week was issue 12 of Supergirl, where if you have been keeping tabs, this is where it gets confusing, because now this story takes place after issue 10, post her year 1 year later thing, which was heavily delayed on top of everyone else's, because hers came out after everybody else's year 1, post year 1 after Crisis had already finished. So this story takes place after issue 10. What happened in 11 with her being at school and stuff and trying to do the whole secret identity thing hadn't come into play yet. And the past issue where she is kind of falling for Nightwing hasn't come into play yet. So this is kind of like up in the air right now time-wise. I don't want to think about it. Ask Dan Didio. So in this issue, you see Kara really struggling with the issues of being part of the super family, or she calls it wearing the S, the responsibilities of being Supergirl. So she's off partying, trying to be herself, trying to live the life of a normal human being, which she's not. And she's also being assisted by Boomer from the Outsiders, who's trying to help her settle into the life of being a superheroine and a normal person at the same time, and it's really not working out for her. So while she's at a club, dancing, trying to do what it is we humans do on a normal basis, a giant dinosaur comes out of nowhere and starts ripping the place apart. Pretty random, I know. And the person appearing to be fighting the dinosaur is Terra. Now the weird thing is, it was kind of mentioned in the issue, this looks like Terra, a former Teen Titan back in the 80s who betrayed the team and died later on. Similar powers, but I don't think it is, because a line is dropped in the book that Boomer says. I can't remember who says it. I think Boomer says it, where it's yeah, she kind of reminds you of the Terra chick from the Titans. So we don't know if it's a reincarnation of Terra, post-crisis or this is a new Terra set apart from another Terra. Really confusing. I highly recommend you just Google it up and figure it out for yourself. The artwork is alright. Amanda Conner, I'm not really used to her stuff. I like her kind of cartoony feel to the character. The humor written by Jimmy Palmiotti was okay and kind of felt right for Kara because you gotta remember she's a young girl and at the same time being in line in lineage with Superman, it's kind of hard to be serious that he is all the time, you know, trying to save the world on a daily basis. So it was an okay issue. I'm kind of like losing faith in this book because since you know, Churchill left and Jeff Loeb has gone to Marvel, it's kind of like dying down, and what was like a colossal start to a good book is kind of like wearing out. So hopefully it'll pick up, but it's a good read, and I'd highly recommend you just kind of stick with it for now and see where it goes.
Hello there.
I'm Jen.
I'm Mike for Variant Edition, back again for another toy and statue review. This time we got a big one.
This is a huge chunk of resin we got sitting here, don't we?
Yeah, this is the man. This is Sideshow Collectibles Green Goblin. It's from their premium format collection. It's a quarter scale.
What's the run on this?
1,200. And
so it's pretty low, huh?
Yeah. And I think they run for around $300. But an amazing statue. He's huge, and this is the line where they're doing not just resin, but it's got cloth on it, it's got the pleather on it, and it's really nicely done.
Yes.
When I first saw it, I says, the cloth, but that's how the whole run of figures that they're doing are coming. But when you look at it close, they really did a nice job of duplicating the folds that are sculpted in the hand with the folds that are laid in
coverings.
with the pleather boot, the gauntlets and the boots. Amazing piece. The detail and the texture on his arms and his legs, the scaly part is great. His face is awesome. I mean, I don't know, some people may think it's a little different than he was in the comic, but I think he's mean looking. He's painted really cool.
Yeah.
He's just got so much action in him in a pose. It's kind of the pose you see all of the figures in. It's, the same pose, a little bit like Bowen's new one version of this guy and stuff.
And he's got some nice warts, too.
Yeah, nice warts. You can't go wrong. Pumpkin that he's holding is
Pumpkin
awesome.
is wonderful.
A great piece. They really do a lot of neat stuff on it. The flames
And
coming out of the engine
the rocket's
is, clearish reddish yellow resin. Really, really nice. I mean, they're pricey and they're big. That's the biggest downfall for me is I'm running out of room. I just can't even find anywhere to put something so big. But they're beautiful. They're really doing an awesome job on them. I mean, there's also a companion piece to this, which is Spider-Man, obviously. And I haven't actually seen him, but I hear he's amazing looking. They've done other characters, too. They've done, I think, like 3 different versions of Spidey. We should be getting one of them in soon, so hopefully we'll be reviewing that soon.
And what's the other one that's coming out?
I think Lewis said that they had done a Punisher, which was really mean-looking,
awesome.
And possibly a Captain America.
Captain America would be very nice.
So, I mean, we'll have to see. Again, I'm not a huge fan of them doing the sculptures and putting the cloth outfits over them, unless they really do them nice.
Well, there is one thing about it. We had to sneak a peek and take a look under the cloth outfit, and they cheesed out. They didn't put the detail all the way under. It's just a very smooth musculature underneath the cloth outfit. Can't blame them. A little less money that they have to do in sculptor, but...
And I guess you could say that if he was wearing a suit, he wouldn't, but still, he's got a green butt, so it's a little...
It's a
little off-putting.
And not scaly
when
green
you peek
butt
under
either.
his drawers, which I guess why should you do that?
Should...
Sorry, I'm a statue freak. What are you
I
gonna do?
I wanted to know.
Had to see what was going on there. But anyway, I guess that's it for this week's toy and statue review, and also for this week's episode. They left it in our charge to take us on out. Probably never happen again.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff for this week. And don't forget to check out variantedition.com for extended versions of our reviews that we ran this week.
And remember, check us out at variantedition.com, on MySpace, on YouTube. If you can't find us online, you're not looking.
And next week, we've got a special treat for you. It's our pre-Christmas special, so don't miss it.
Take care.
That was nice.
It was interviews, but I'm just going to pop in the thing, so. Extended version of our interviews.
Oh, I said reviews, didn't I?
Yeah, whatever.
Everything else.